VR is a very innovative technology that is yet to find ubiquity. While the technology is still blooming, best practices surrounding development have not yet been set in stone. This is quite evident when we look at the world of UX design in VR. User experience in VR is extremely complicated to develop correctly, thanks in large part to principles such as Jacob's Law, a required lack of simplicity, and a great number of affordances. Let's start by talking about Jacob's Law. A widely used principle in UX, it states, users spend most of their time on other sites. This means that users prefer your site to work the same way as all the other sites they already know. This applies not only to websites, but to all kinds of UX projects, including menus. Let's think about it. The time a user spends in VR is likely much less than the time that they spend playing games in general. And of this time in VR, the time they spend on any one game is probably a considerably smaller portion. So, ideally, everything should be similar between these three levels. But the very nature of VR makes sure that making a menu like you'd use in a typical game is nearly impossible. Going deeper, nobody has made that ubiquitous format for menu navigation that we see in almost every non-VR game. Additionally, we see an issue of minimalism and aesthetics in VR menus. Of Nielsen's 10 usability heuristics, heuristic number 8 is, interfaces should not contain information that is irrelevant or rarely needed. Every extra unit of information in an interface competes with the relevant units of information and diminishes their relative visibility. While a simplistic, minimalist design is more than achievable for systems on a traditional screen, in VR, having too simple of a design can make things feel sterile, unsettling, and immersion-breaking. So, the path many developers take to make their menus more welcoming is to create a more complicated, in-depth, and true-to-life visual design, so as to make the experience less jarring for users. With the added visual complexity of menus in VR, as well as the increased level of interactivity from the user being in a virtual reality space, there are many more affordances granted to the user. What are affordances? According to the Interaction Design Foundation, an affordance is what a user can do with an object based on the user's capabilities. With the user having their hands and head in the VR space, there's no choice but for there to be more affordances for what the user can do at any given time in the game. For example, let's look at the main menu for Survive, a co-op VR zombie survival game. On the main menu, the user has many options for what they can do. They can walk around, investigate the area, go to a firing range, try out the game's mechanics, etc. While that's very welcoming and makes the space feel less empty and uncanny, that's not the main function of the menu. The meat and potatoes of the menu is a pair of pistols the user can utilize to select various options by shooting, as opposed to walking up to buttons and pushing them. A more stylized version of a cursor. But this opens a whole new can of affordances that are granted to the player. Things around the environment have to be able to be destroyed and interacted with. The player has to be able to shoot the zombies in the background. And hey, is this an affordance? Wait, no. All of these features almost have to be added to make the VR world be that little bit more immersive. But it comes at the cost of the readability of affordances. There is no easy solution at the moment for the messiness of virtual reality menus. As Raymond Daxelt and Annette Hübner put it, researchers and application developers cannot rely on an established set of 3D menu techniques being at hand for implementing interactive 3D applications. There is no repertoire of menu solutions available comparable to 2D user interface development. Applications are often developed from scratch, especially in the even younger research areas of augmented reality and desktop VR. For these promising fields, even less menu solutions are available. As the field evolves, we will likely see norms and best practices start to take shape, but for now, the world of VR menus is somewhat confusing thanks to the aforementioned reasons.